Hey y'all, this thing's shaking. Okay. Hey y'all. Okay, so I have a lot of messages to release and I hope I don't sound all over the place. For this word, God gave me, he told me to title it Death to the Pest and Christmas is Coming Early for some, okay? And he gave me this message. I was doing my delivery job one night. That's when he started this message. He's been pouring so much into this message. I said I had to get it out before I burst because it's so much. And I have been dealing with a lot of distractions lately, so it's been hard to sit down and get it out. But so, anyway, okay, so how this started out, I was doing my delivery job one night. This was probably either November the 2nd or the 3rd. I just know it was in the first couple of days of November, because when I was driving, I saw that a lot of houses were already like decorated for Christmas. And I'm like, man, oh my God, like I normally don't see houses decorated for Christmas this quickly. They normally wait a little bit longer. It was like one day it was Halloween and then I seen Halloween decorations, and the next day, night I'm like out there, I see Christmas lights up just like that. And I heard Christmas is coming early, okay? That's what I was hearing from him. Christmas is coming early for some, okay? And that's when he was telling me he wanted me to release this message, and he started pouring more into it. He has been pouring so much on this topic and just expanding on it, y'all. So I'm praying I can release it in a way that is understandable for everybody. And make sure you pray about this word and only take what parts are for you. Always take what's for you. Okay, so what he was showing me here. So on this particular night, I only delivered to like 2 places. And the 2 places I delivered to, the first one had a little frog sitting at their doorstep when I went up there. And I don't do frogs. So I'm like, that frog needs to move before I put this stuff down, because I didn't want it to jump on me. And so I bucked at it. I bucked at the frog, but the frog still wasn't moving. And so I'm like, he's not scary at all. And so then I stumped my foot at it. And when I stumped my foot at it, it paused, and then it went ahead and hopped away. Like I'm go ahead and get out her way. And I put the stuff down. And I'm like, that little arrogant frog, he took his time getting out the way. And so, anyways, that was the first house. The second house I went to had a huge spider crawling up the side of the door. Like, I've never seen a spider this big before in Texas, like ever. And I mean, these were nice new neighborhoods, nice new houses, but they had this huge spider, like crawling, just crawling up the door. And I thought it was a water bug at first, because it's like the size of a water bug. And then I saw all the extra legs, and I was like, oh my God. And so the spider fell at their climb. It was climbing towards the top of the door. It fell. And when it fell, it made a noise because it was so big. And then it got back up and started climbing on the side of the door again. And when I stepped back, I saw that there was another spider. So that spider was on the right side of the door. And then when I stepped back, I saw there was another spider on the left side of the door too. And they were both the same size. And I was like, oh my God. And so I called the lady, let her know, I was going to put her items on the bench. I wasn't coming near her door. And, told her to be careful because there's 2 huge spiders out there. And so anyways, what God was basically showing me, because I'm like, this is not a coincidence. No, there is no such thing as coincidences with God, okay? And I've had to learn not to put limitations on how he desires to speak to me, okay? You can't put limitations on how God desires to speak. He speaks in so many different ways if we pay attention, okay? So what God was showing me here in both of these situations, things had to be moved out of the way before I could, like, that frog had to go. It had to go. It had to get moved out of the way before I could deliver what I was trying to deliver. I was not going to put it down there with that frog still sitting there, okay? Second house I go to, same thing. 2 huge spiders. They needed to go. I was not getting anywhere near their doorstep. They needed to go, okay? So what he was showing me, he was in a process of moving things out of the way. He said, death to the pest. He actually gave me a prophetic dream that he led me to title Death to the Pest. He's talking about a lot of physical deaths that were going to take place. But he said that death part had a 2-part meaning, basically meaning that it didn't necessarily, he wasn't just talking in the physical death aspect. Yes, it's going to be a lot of physical deaths, but also death of control, right? These people, he's going to take away their control, right? The way he showed it to me, these are people who have been standing in his will. Well, not in his will, Lord, I said that wrong. These are people, they've been in a way, okay? Right? So they've been standing in the way of God's will for a situation. It could be God's will for organization. It could be God's will for a marriage or a family. For instance, if this person, if you have a kingdom spouse or something and somebody else has been in their ear, they're standing in the way of God's will for you and that person. Okay, situations like that. But it's not limited to people. These moves I felt like he was making from people, relationships, organizations, just removing the power and the influence that these individuals have had in these areas because they're literally standing in the way of the will of God. So he said, death to the pest, it's time for them to go. And as he moves them out of the way, then he'll begin to deliver the things that he desires to deliver to us, okay? But first he has to move them out of the way. And this is not the first time I got this message from him. I actually had a dream, I think a couple months ago it was, where once things were moved out of the way, there were babies popping out of the ground in the dream, 2 by 2. It was little babies popping out of the ground, and I was catching them as they came out and then handing them off. Oftentimes in dreams, I kind of play like a midwife in dreams, and this was one of them where there was babies popping out of the ground 2 by 2, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, and they were like all different races or whatever. And so that's what he reminded me of here. Some things have to be moved out of the way before he delivers what he has for you. Okay, y'all. Then the next, another time I was driving, y'all, he gave me so many messages. Another night I was driving, it was raining, and I normally don't like to do like deliveries in the rain or whatever, but it was a light drizzle. And he was ministering to me at the time because I remember I was feeling a weight of like sadness. I was dealing with my own stuff, but I was feeling more than me. And so he was letting me know how he hears the cries of his children. And he's going to come through for us. And this particular night, I had like 4 deliveries this night, and all of them came from the same location. And I've never had that happen before. And what he was saying to me was, God is about to bless some of us. He's about to start turning some things around. He probably already did it because I'm a little late getting this message out. But he wants you to know that he hears your cry. And every last blessing that's coming is coming from him. Every single one. Every delivery I did that night came from the same store. That never happens. It came from the same location. That never happens for me. Every single one. And so he wants you to know that every single blessing that's coming your way, it's coming from him. He's heard your cry. Okay. And y'all, this is basically like an update. Because I feel like I've said the same things over and over, but God wants me to release this. He's trying to keep us up to date to what he's doing on his end. So even when we don't see things happening naturally, he wants you to still know that he's working. He wants you to know what's going on his end. So anyways, as I continued driving at night, like I said, it was raining. He reminded me that all throughout the day, I kept seeing cop cars. I kept seeing cop cars. I kept seeing like cars pulled over as if they had been in an accident. And right before I did my first delivery, I came up on a fresh accident. Like it must have just happened because I saw the car that hit the other car pulling over to the side. But, there was no ambulance, no one there to arrive. They were just kind of trying to get out of the way of traffic. So it's a fresh accident. And what he immediately brought to mind was the message he gave me about pride comes before the fall. They'll be brought low. Where he was talking about God was looking at our heart. And I think this was in part 2 where he was talking about the prodigals coming home. And I'm coming home with damaged cars. The car in a dream they came home in, it had been an accident. So when I saw that, he immediately brought that to mind, that right now a lot of them are experiencing that, okay? A lot of them have possibly just had their heart broken or they're about to, okay? He's been talking about exposing a lot of different things that will ultimately, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt them. It's going to be hard for them to hear, but it's going to be eye-opening. Okay, he's exposing a lot of things. They thought it was something that it never really. he's going to shed light on a lot of things that they have been blinded to, and it's not going to be easy for them to receive. A lot of them are going to be coming home with broken hearts. So me seeing those car accidents back to back, he was showing me that's happening now. Okay, it's continually happening. He's still exposing, or it's about to happen, and he wants y'all to keep them in prayer. And then the place I was going to, y'all, this lady had either 21 or 22 jugs of water, right? And so I was like, oh my God, I wasn't looking forward to delivering all that water. And so anyways, when I get to our house, I probably made about 3 trips alone carrying the water. I carry like 7 at a time. I loop them things on my finger. But so this part, since my first person had all this water, and God was showing me that a lot of the prodigals are just coming out of a situation where their heart has been broken, or things have been exposed to them, or their heart is about to be broken. This is going to be part of the purification process is about to start for them, right? That's what he was showing me with all that water, because I'm like, ain't no way. And he starts speaking, more about it, that it had a purpose, right? And when I went to deliver it, again, this is another nice new neighborhood, right? Delivering a lot of nice new neighborhoods. And so it was 3 guys. The neighbor's house, it was 3 guys standing outside in the dark. And I couldn't make out their face because they was literally standing in the dark. And they were watching me the entire time. And it made me a little uncomfortable. And so God was speaking that this part may be uncomfortable, right? For you as well. And this particular house did not tip. Yeah, I go to the new neighborhoods, like the nice new areas, because I need my tip or whatever. So doing these jobs is not even really worth it if the person don't tip. Like, I'm just being honest. So I would usually in those areas, you kind of guaranteed to get a tip or whatever, right? And so this person, they didn't tip. And God was speaking right there. During this process where God is purifying their heart, he's allowing them to be broken down. It's uncomfortable for them. You might not see a reward. Oh, Jesus. You don't see what God is doing. It may look the opposite to you, okay? The tip is like a reward, so to speak, the way he's showing it to me. I hope I'm explaining this right. You may not see what God is doing. He is purifying them. They're going through a brokenness. Pray for them while they're going through this process. You might not see the fruit of it right now. Just know that he's working, though. He is working, and he is purifying their heart right now. So what he wants y'all to do is keep them in prayer. Something else he showed me last night, y'all, that some deliveries can be held up if we are not doing our part, okay? So like I mentioned before, I had a dream, a prophetic dream, where the person, a prodigal, in the dream, I was the one that removed the tape from their eyes. They had tape covering their eyes, and I was the one who removed it. And God showed me that I did that through prayer. So if God is leading y'all to pray for people, keep praying for them. I want to say this real quick too, because this is something the enemy has been doing lately. The enemy has been trying to harden people's hearts against praying for the people God has been telling you to pray for, because he knows your prayers are working. So he has literally been trying to harden your heart against that person. He's been trying to put thoughts in your head, bringing up past things and making you feel some type of way. He's been doing it to both of y'all, not just you. He's been doing it to both of y'all. So you will no longer want to pray for that person, okay? That is a tactic from the enemy. So sit with God and remember all the things he's told you, and do whatever he's leading you to do. Okay, so I mentioned the three guys that were standing outside, and it made me a little uncomfortable, right? Because they were standing outside in the dark, like watching me take the stuff the whole time. And so when I left, I'm thinking, that was odd. I was, it was a little uncomfortable, whatever. And then the rest of the orders I had that particular night, it got like, they were a little scary. I was on these long, narrow roads, and it was so dark, and there was no light or whatever. And I'm like, Daddy, what's going on or whatever? And because he was speaking the entire time. He was speaking and pouring the entire time. And he said, get ready to face some fears. Okay. So he was already showing me that he's working on the prodigals, that they have, a lot of them have experienced heartbreak or about to experience heartbreak. They're going through a breaking process, a purification process with him right now. And which means it won't be long. It won't be long before you see them. Okay. So he's saying, get ready to face some fears, and not just the prodigals, the situation, as far as him moving things out of the way. As he moved things out of the way, then he'll begin to deliver things that you've been waiting on. So he's saying, get ready to face some fears too, because even though a lot of us want these things, he's shown me that a lot of us are scared of them. Okay. We're scared of them because of what we went through in the past. So that's why he's been wanting us to do that inward work, because he doesn't want you to receive this with fear. He wants you to receive this with peace and joy. Okay. So he said, get ready to face some fears. That's what he was showing me as I was driving. The road was so narrow. Oh my God. And you guys, if you have been experiencing this feeling of loneliness, I've had dreams where he's shown me, like, on this final road, like, the road gets really, really narrow. And in a dream, I remember I had somebody call me, and I couldn't even talk to them on the phone because they were about to make me have an accident because the road was too narrow. I had to focus. As you transition into this place, God has told a lot of y'all to move in silence. And if he's told you that, make sure you do it. But he may also have put you in a position to where you feel alone. But you're not alone. You're never alone. And when I felt this, I didn't like it. It was uncomfortable, and it made me a little sad. But when it took place, I knew he did it, and I knew why he did it, because he already showed me that we're going to have to take a narrow path to get there. So the movements you're making, you're not supposed to be telling people, not even the people you think you can trust the most, unless you talk to God about it and he said it was okay. But what I'm feeling from him is the less people know, the better. You definitely want to get permission from him before telling people about this transition, about wherever he's taking you. Okay. So that's what he was showing me. Get ready to face some fears. It's a narrow road. So you may feel lonely. You may feel alone, but you're just about to walk into what he has for you. Okay, let me just add this. Remember, I was saying the first place I went to where I delivered all that water, they didn't even tip, right? The place that there was one particular place that I put off going to. I didn't even want to take this job because when I pulled it up on a map, I couldn't see the house. So I look, I like to see on the map, you got to look on the map in this area to see it, like what kind of neighborhood it is or whatever. So I like to see if it's different houses right next to each other. I know it's a regular neighborhood, but if I just see one house and nothing else and it's spaced out, some of these people live in the doggone woods. And I had to learn the hard way. So if I can't see like how their house is, or if it's just a regular house, or if it's off in the woods somewhere, I don't take it. In this house, I couldn't see, on the map, it didn't show me. And so I didn't want to take it, but it kept coming up. And I felt like I was supposed to take it. And y'all, it was so scary driving there because they had so much property, and I had to drive down their little path with trees on the side of me or whatever, and it was dark. But that delivery was the most rewarding one. I did 4 deliveries that night. That was the last one. I put it off last because I didn't want to go. But they were the only ones that they literally tipped me while I was walking back to my car. I got the notification on my phone. My tip hit like that, like immediately. They were the quickest to tip out of everybody. And what God showed me there, the thing you fear the most, this blessing, this thing he's promised you, even though you wanted your some people, again, remember to take what applies to you. Even though you want these things, if this applies to you, you may be a little scared of it, right? For the people this applies to. God said that's going to be your most reward. That place was the most rewarding one for me. It was the most rewarding one. I received my reward sooner from them than I did anywhere else, okay? So, y'all, that was basically the message. And then he also let me to mention that was that night I did 4 orders. He had me y'all, I'm tired. He had me recently submit a post about the number 4. If you're seeing a number 4, that means that things are about to change. And I heard celebration music. That song, it's about to be a celebration. Yeah, I heard the celebration song or whatever, and he was basically saying that if you're seeing a number 4, your life's about to change. And he brought up the fact that I did 4 deliveries that night. So you don't have to be afraid. He doesn't want you to be afraid of the thing he has for you. You're going to enjoy it, but he wants you to follow his instructions because he's given us all individual instructions upon receiving it. And then also, when I was driving, even now, even last night, I'm seeing these huge skeletons still in people's yards. Like, I don't know why they still got these doggone skeletons up. But what God has been showing me there, even if you haven't seen it yet, don't worry, he's still clearing things up, okay? I kid you not, I have never seen people leave their dog on Halloween stuff up this late. I mean, people still got their houses decorated for Halloween. But, yeah, I'm sorry, my daughter's kicking this thing and it's shaking. But, so if you haven't seen anything yet, don't worry. God is still clearing things up. Continue to pray. Continue to do all the things he's leading you to do. And he just wants you to know that he's working. And he wants you to know what he's working on. So he said death to the pest, meaning he's clearing some things up. He's moving things out of the way. And Christmas is coming early, okay, for some, okay? Continue to pray. Continue to trust him. And continue to prepare, okay? Because the way I'm seeing this is it's going to be an overnight change, and you just want to make sure you're ready. And for some of y'all, make sure you're actually doing what he gave you instructions, okay? And some things can be held up if you have not followed said instructions, okay? So make sure you also prepare by keeping your heart right. Like I said, the enemy has been trying to harden hearts. He's been trying to put thoughts in our heads and turn our heart away from the thing that God told us he had for us. God said this thing was good for us. He doesn't give bad gifts. He gives good gifts. So the enemy has been trying to harden our hearts towards some of these things, or towards certain people, like I said, that God told us to pray for. So rebuke that and know that is a tactic from the enemy, and just continue to trust God and pray, all right? All right, I love y'all so much. I love y'all, and y'all be blessed.